welcome to today's WC Conversation. I'm Patrick Earl, Economic Development Officer with Wheatland County. We are here today with Lynn Walker and the Wheatland Family and Community Support Services, along with other interagency organizations operating in the Wheatland region. And with that, I'd like to invite you, Lynn, to tell us more about the WFCSS and where we'll go around the table, and if you can discuss how your agency is doing this year and its challenges and opportunities, and what's coming in 2021 for your organization.
Sounds good, Patrick. Thank you for this opportunity. FCSS is actually dubbed the best little secret in the county because people don't even know we exist until they run into problems and they're pointed in our direction. And basically that's what our organization is about. We're helping people that need help. And the tagline for the province is that we build Albertans, which we see that every day. But it's a platform where local people can influence the things that affect them, their community, just help grow an environment that is good for them, right from newborns right through to seniors. So we've got the full gamut, and we look at stabilizing families and trying to help them out and to improve community lifestyle. So we have a lot of different programs that we sponsor. Each year we have a grant application process that people can apply, and it goes into quite a lot of detail so that they match what our mandate is, and they can expand out into the community and help out in the community through their programs. We figured, why reinvent the wheel? They're the experts in what they're doing. They just need that additional funding that they can bring their program from Strathmore out into the county. And it's been very well received. A lot of people benefit from it. And I know if we didn't have the funding that we wouldn't be able to access those programs. So that really helps. Other programs that we have, our biggest one is our home support, to look after the seniors that are in the county and to keep them into their homes as long as they can. We don't want to push them out into facilities until it's absolutely necessary. And so they build a really good relationship with our field workers that go out, and it becomes they're more like a family than they are a worker and a client, and it's really nice to see. And there actually gets to be sort of a dependence that happens because of that relationship. But COVID really did a number on us this year. We were down for 4 months, but they were so welcomed when they were all allowed back into everyone's homes. So our program is back up and running now, and we're doing all the protocols as we should be. And so we continue to be out there, be with our seniors, help them with their homekeeping challenges. And we're helping to reduce the isolation that they're facing right now with everything that's going on. We also have programs that we hold in-house. We do the volunteer income tax program. We do Lunch and Learn. And Lunch and Learn has come to a halt again because of COVID. But we're trying to figure out if there is some way we could do this still on our monthly basis, but we wouldn't be able to gather. And so that's the big thing, because it's that visitation, that networking that happens every month that the seniors look forward to, and they come out in big numbers to be able to do that. Plus, they like having a free lunch, and we can't really do that over Zoom. So anyway, that's another one of the challenges that's come forward for us. And we've thought about do it by Zoom, but we have seniors that really don't want to be bothered with technology. And that is a real hard one for us. We face it all the time. We don't know how to encourage seniors to, get involved and just try it step by step. We're trying to get them to go into their libraries in the villages And they don't want to do that because they have personal information and they don't trust people. So we don't get very far with that. But we try. Every case is different, and so each one brings a challenge, and we try and work it out. Our income tax program for this last year, it ran the whole year. We had a very successful year, even in spite of COVID. We turned our little library into a drop box and a pickup box. And so we'd have our clients come drop off their paperwork in the little library in the confidential envelopes we had. We'd bring them in, we'd do them, and then when they were ready, we'd phone them and let people come back out, pick them up out of the library. And bottom shelf of the library was for that. Top shelf was books. And so some of them would take a book home with them too. So it served dual purpose, and that was good. And we think we might just carry on with that through this next year because it worked quite well. Another process we had to change was our good food box. People weren't allowed in the building, so we did the drive-through thing. When their orders came, we phoned and told everybody the orders were in, and so they would drive into the parking lot and phone us when they got in the parking lot, and we would bring their hampers out to them, and they'd have their door open or whatever, and we'd place the hamper into their car, and then they would drive off on their merry way. And that's another positive that we're going to continue for sure, because we don't have people just sneaking in and walking off with their boxes, and then we have this, oh my gosh, what happened? A big panic session. But anyway, we do a lot with completing paperwork for seniors, be it for funding, for increases for appliances or something that they may need in the house with the SHARP program, where they get funding to replace or to do renovations that may come along. What else? We do a lot of, like I said, support for other groups that do come out, and very involved with giving funding to growing families for 5 for Life and for the early childhood program, and also for Bridging the Gap and the seniors with them. Physically, we help out Lynette with the food bank. We try and be there for anything she might need administratively, and we take great. We think it's a privilege to be able to work with her in any capacity. So that's a good one. We help Step One Housing. We sit on their board and help them out. So if people are in need of any furnishings or anything like that, or if they absolutely cannot make a payment for some reason, if they get processed through mental health and qualify, then we take that on and we look after that for them for a one-time. And right now we're involved with the Strathmore and District Christmas Hamper. So that's another privilege to be able to be a part of each year. So some, I've mentioned a few challenges, some gaps that we have, and we would really, really encourage people to listen to these 2 points that we have. And if you would be so inclined, please, please, please give me a call and let me know that you're interested. We need volunteer drivers to take people to their appointments, be they medical or whatever. We just do not, they're seniors and they don't always have a driver's license anymore or whatever. And it's just too expensive to go through transportation from Strathmore. And right now with COVID again, Handybus is very, has put in more strict guidelines as to who can use it. So if we could get some volunteer drivers, that would be wonderful. And our other wish would be if there's any volunteers that would be interested in helping out this year with the volunteer income tax program. We have a couple of people, but it doesn't hurt to ask. If there's people out there that are sitting at home doing nothing and they have a financial, flair, then by all means, we could certainly bring them on board as well. But that's it in a nutshell, I think. If you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate.
Sure. Yeah, we can open up for questions now after everyone has their chance to do their story. But Lynn, what about 2021? What do you see coming? You know, as we get the vaccine out there and things hopefully get a little bit lighter. Do you see any opportunities or challenges into 2021?
We'll be doing the same programming in 2021 as we have in the past. Like, it's just different now, right? Because of the restrictions. So hopefully, as things roll out and become more normal, we can be normal too again, if we remember how to do that. And we won't have to do all of the masking and gloving and hand sanitizer and all that stuff. But our clients have been so what's the word I want? Accepting of the whole thing. It's okay. They don't mind gloving, and we meet in the little room out front in the building here, so they don't have to come traipsing through. And yeah, everything I think will carry on the same. Like I said, some of the things we've adapted through COVID are things we're going to continue to do because it improved our whole process, made it a lot more efficient. So there's good things to COVID. We can't always say so there you go.
Excellent. So does anybody else have any questions for Lynn? Okay. Hey,
I guess,
Lynn.
sorry, Patrick, I should have said the one big thing that we do look after here that we host as Wheatland FCSS is the Interagency group. And that is all the nonprofits, and we meet once a month and do a roundtable and everything that's going on. If there's a certain topic, then we all have our input into that. Otherwise, we go around and every agency that's there gives a little spiel on what's going on for them, what any events coming up, any issues that they're having, that sort of thing. That's a big one. I was thinking more along the line of clients previously, but yeah, no, this is with all of our partners. So.
Excellent. So because we're also doing podcasts, can you just give us your contact information, website, email, phone number?
Sure. Phone number is 403-934-5335. Our email is info at WFCSS.org. And our website is www.wfcss.org. And you can find us on Facebook too. So there you go.
Excellent. All right. So gonna pick on Kelly, I think, if you want to do all that Lynn just did.
Hey there, can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
I was quickly trying to get my website after that, caught me off guard. So I'm Kelly with Rocky View Wheatland Employment Services. We provide individuals with all of the tools that they need to be successful within their job search. So that includes within our center a job board that is physical for people that lack the ability to job search online. So we have a physical job board, and then when COVID hit, obviously things needed to change there. So we also have a Facebook page that our numbers have skyrocketed on. So the jobs have then been taken off the board physically and have been put on that Facebook page, and it's done really well. In center, normally when we're open, we have computers and an entire resource center there for people. Resume development, interview skills, any of those tools that people need or skills that people need for their job search, we have that. We can do that remotely as well, which is nice that we're not held back from being able to aid people in that. And career exploration. So if we have a youth or someone that's looking to make a career change, we can do some career exploration with people. That's for the individuals within Strathmore, but we also can benefit employers looking to fill positions that they have available. So the most popular thing that employers like to access our services for is what's called community connectors. So this is essentially, if you look at it as a mini hiring fair, but for that specific employer. So we would advertise for that employer. They have to have a minimum of people that they're looking to hire in order to do this, but it's found to be quite successful. Since COVID has hit, of course, that's changed. So what we've been doing is actually it over Zoom, putting people in breakout rooms, and it has proven to be quite successful. Strathmore's had a hard time kind of, really grasping onto this and being accepting of it, just due to the, just lack of comfort, on the internet. But it's certainly in Calgary and those areas with positions that require people to have better computer skills, it is served very well. And we also normally, again, pre-COVID, we have office space available, rooms there for people to be able to screen people, interview staff in our center as well, if it's, a company that doesn't have that space available for themselves. Additional to that, we do have some small little pockets of income called exposure funding that is easily accessed through our services, where we can do all the paperwork there for people to get funding for small training bits of money. If we're looking, I know earlier you'd thrown the question as to what our needs are. Obviously, right now, being an employment center, there's, during COVID, there's not much, out there for jobs. So, right now our focus has really changed, and that people right now aren't job searching. It's those clients that have high need. And with that high need just comes community referrals, because it's beyond us. It's beyond what we're capable of doing within our center. It's beyond employment services. It's typically mental health, addiction, and a referral out. So we're finding that, clients that were comfortable with us in that realm of job search before are now reaching out for different need. And so we're just playing a part within that and making it appropriate community referrals in order to, aid these people as best we can. Another part that's kind of evolved that's outside of our contractors, we're playing more of that job developer. We're reaching out to employers on behalf of people and job searching for people, which is different. Thank goodness, our numbers are low because we have the time to be able to submit resumes on behalf of individuals. I think, like Lynn had alluded to, the level of skill in operating on computers is very low in Strathmore when you're dealing with a large population of our clientele that are typically middle-aged men who had been in the oil patch. If you were to even do up the best resume you possibly could, you could prepare them for the interviews as best they could, but all the jobs are online, and they don't even know how to get, their resume off their phone. They don't know how to get on Indeed. They don't have computer access. It's made it very tricky for these individuals. So we've kind of, naturally morphed into, being personal job appliers for people. And even, lack of printers. So I can't even tell you how many people, we've printed, from our homes and met up with people and just given them printed copies of resumes. So, certainly our jobs look much different from home and during this time. Additional to that, level of need is dealing with the addiction part, which we're seeing, clients that had never had concerns. They've been longtime clients of ours, and now we're seeing their needs swing to that addiction part. So that is very clear. Women who are in relationships that they can't escape from, they don't have, they're looking to try to find a position that can pay them more so they can feel like they have the strength to be able to leave, and are desperate to find that higher income. But right now, a big need is for full-time work, and we're not seeing that. We're seeing lots of temporary, lots of part-time, and it seems to be the kind of that fill for their staff. If people are going on isolation, then they need staff, but they have to wait for that person to be on isolation to be able to fill those positions. So it's very tricky. It's much different than what we're used to, but we're certainly coping as we can. And I think you had asked Linda as well about the 2021, what we see. The good news in all of this is that our contract had come up for renewal in the fall. And the government was good enough to kind of, have some forethought as to what, the needs of Albertans may be. And so our contract is now going to, starting in May, have a job placement component. So our staff will be growing. It's not just going to be Allison and I out in the resource center anymore. We will have someone that's going to be essentially hand-holding and, connecting people with employers. Allison and I would do that if we weren't busy. We were able to do it, but it certainly wasn't part of our contract. We were just naturally, if we had contacts with employers, we would naturally do that. But now that will be an expectation within our contracts. We're extremely happy about that. And that gives us a lot of excitement kind of heading into the new year. So I think in a summary, that's, maybe a big part of all of that. So yeah. I think that's it.
So, cool. So I was also wondering too, just with people going through 2021 or 2020, and a lot of people doing remote work now. Do you see businesses looking at perhaps expanding so that people, if they have some online savvy, could do potentially jobs in other communities if they're not here? So do you get sort of like indicators, or do you get other companies from beyond the region looking for people to do remote?
Right. It's a really good question. So it's very exciting because we do see that. We see a lot of job postings now where it will state within a job posting that it's remote, which we would never have seen before. So really exciting, but at the same time, we have this like real gut feeling that knows what our population is. And so, the people that are coming in that are high need aren't going to be coming in and walking into our center because they're very savvy on their own to be able to job search. They're capable of creating their own resume. And those people are the ones that are kind of snapping those up. The people coming in that we typically see won't, they won't even really be looking at those positions because it's out of reach due to their ability to have the quality internet and or the skills in order to do that type of work. So so again, exciting. We do see that, but COVID has created leaps and bounds of improvement in that tech IT connection within every position, and it's fantastic to see. But we've now got this leg behind, especially in this community, of people having that skill to be able to fill those positions.
So if you had a dream of what to get people from this place to this place to be eligible for that kind of work,
right?
What do you see as programming that could happen in our region to get people from there to there?
It comes down to just basic functional computer skills. So when we're seeing, and we would when we were in the office, and we're seeing it now, people walking in and saying, thanks to the resume, thanks for emailing it to it, I have it on my phone. I don't know how to get to this to the employer. I mean, when you're looking at that type of level of competency within, just not being able to save a document from their phone, like from an email onto their phone, from their phone off to something else. I mean, that's a basic skill. And we literally see that every day. It's typically a male that doesn't have that ability to get it off their phone and don't know how to job search. So when we're looking at positions at home, that's a big gap, but it's a basic skill, that they need to start working with to give them that comfort, that level of comfort, and then they can get specific from that into certain programs like Word and Excel, working on Office, those sorts of things. So basic computer skills. Okay. That's a big dream.
Excellent. Okay. So does anybody have any questions for Kelly? Okay. All right. So Kelly, can you give us your contact info for the podcast?
I can. So our phone number is 403-983-9910. And our website goes to our main center. So we are a contract within Prospect Human Services. So the website that we have is www.rwesemploymentservices.com.
Great. And email? for you?
You know, we have a specific email for both Allison and I. So my email, and that would be shared back and forth between Allison and I, is my first name, last name. So Kelly, Kelly, .Yorston, YORSTON, @prospectnow.ca. So if people were to email me, Allison and I share every intake that comes in, and yeah, we'll be able to provide some need from there.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Okay, let's go next to Lynette.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I'm Lynette with the Wheatland County Food Bank. So basically, we are just an organization responsible for providing people with emergency food when they're in a crisis situation. Weirdly enough, this is a crisis right now, and we didn't see a huge increase in numbers. Actually, we dropped during COVID. Whether that people thought we were closed or they were scared to come, it's hard to say. We usually pack 700 to 800 hampers a year, and we only did 600 this year. So we were down significantly. However, we are busy again. So people are coming back. So we anticipate a very busy year in 2021. Hopefully things will get back to normal, but there's a lot of people in trouble right now. So we also provide emergency food to the school division as well in the form of our Weekends and More program. So teachers identify children that are food insecure, and we send home emergency bags for the weekend for them to get them through till Monday. So that was a bit of a challenge when the schools closed for COVID. The bus drivers stepped up and delivered all of the bags to the kids, which was super good. And then we delivered some, continued throughout the summer to keep them fed until school started again. So hopefully we don't have that gap hit again. Right now we'll be a month without any emergency bags for them over the Christmas break here, but we sent some extra food home today. So I think our biggest challenge during COVID has been, I don't think people think that we're open. And we are an essential service. We are always there. So hopefully this type of thing will help let people know that we are here and available. We had to adapt, closed our building to the public. We are now a drive-up model. We can't let anybody in. So hopefully that will go away in the new year. It makes it really difficult to connect with people when you are just looking through the door at them. So, food drives are still happening. People are pivoting and figuring out ways to keep getting us food. Donations have been up this year. Lots of food coming from the grocery stores. So we're doing really well. Running out of space, but doing really well. So hopefully 2021 will be a better year for all of us. I think that's it.
Okay. So a question for you would be, like we were involved last year with the CP holiday train, and there's always a big push and campaign to food banks across Canada. But with those types of activities not happening, you're still seeing a lot of food coming in, but do you notice a lot of perhaps even cash funding and things like that as pressures just because there's not these events to support food banks?
So oddly enough, we've had a pretty phenomenal year with funding. People have really stepped up more, I think, because they're worried that we're not getting the funding. And for the first time ever, the federal government stepped in. And we don't see money come from them ever. And we did. So that was really, really good. We all still got our donations from the holiday train. And hopefully other people tuned in to their little online show. That was kind of fun. But yeah, we probably aren't seeing the numbers of food drives, but definitely the business community and our actual community has stepped up.
Great. So that awareness is coming back that you've been open, you're still open, and you will be open.
We will be open, yes.
Excellent. Okay. And Lynette, can you just give us your contact information? Oh, sorry. Anybody else have any questions for Lynette? Okay. So yeah, Lynette, if you can give us your contact info, that'd be great.
Sure. Our phone number is 403-324-4335. Our website is www.wheatlandfoodbank.com. And our email is wheatlandfoodbank@gmail.com.
Perfect. All right, thanks. And we'll move on to Carly.
Hi, thank you for having me. So my name is Carly and I'm with the Wheatland Crisis Society, otherwise known as the Strathmore Shelter, not to be confused with the Strathmore Overnight Shelter. So we love them, and their mandate is supporting people who are experiencing homelessness. Our mandate is supporting individuals and families experiencing domestic violence, intimate partner violence, family violence, and abuse. So our shelter has kind of three main areas. We have our shelter program, we have an outreach program, and we have an education program. All of these have been running in the community for just over 27 years now. So we've been a longstanding nonprofit within the town of Strathmore. Our shelter program is unique to other shelter programs. So many people would refer to us as a women's shelter, which we are. But the beauty of our program is that we say we are a family abuse shelter because we are able to support all people. That would include men. That would also include gender diverse individuals. So we do see, specifically for our shelter program, we do see people come far and wide because we are typically the only shelter that can support those populations. What else can I tell you about us? All of our programs are free of charge. So with the shelter program, all people have to do is just call our crisis line, which I'll give you at the end, but I'll give now as well, as 403-934-6634. We never close. We're open 24 hours a day. And if people call that line, if they need safety or even just some support, somebody to talk to, they can complete a short assessment with them and make sure that we have the space available for them and help keep them safe. So that's what shelter does in a nutshell. Our outreach program, I like to call it Shelter Without the Shelter. So that supports individuals in Wheatland County, Strathmore. Our reach for our outreach program is actually quite far. So we go as far as Three Hills, Drumheller, Trochu, Arrowwood, Chestermere, Bicycler, kind of all of those different areas. So people from all of those areas can access our outreach program. And what that looks like is if people, whether they're in their relationship and their relationship is an abusive one, or whether they've just recently left, that outreach relationship supports people through that process. So that is a significant amount of risk assessment with all of the clients. And we do have skills for risk assessment to look at what the lethality of the situation may be. We do a significant amount of safety planning with those clients. We also offer just supportive counseling. So that's just kind of an empathetic ear to listen to, because, whether you're in these types of relationships or have just left, it's an incredibly stressful time, especially if children are involved in custody, court, and all of those things. It's a lot of advocacy work. So we have an incredible amount of partners like within this community that we can kind of send people to, advocate with, refer to. So that would be the outreach program. It's a little longer term. It can go anywhere from a month up to a year, just depending on what kind of support that people need. And then we have our education program. So the public education program serves people from age 5 to 95. It looks a lot like in-class presentations on things like healthy relationships, boundaries, empathy, all sorts of things. And then there's also several kind of professional development programs. So we offer domestic violence in the workplace, which we've had some good success with in the community, presenting on that and what occupational health and safety is associated with domestic violence in the workplace due to some new legislation that came in 2017. Also a lot of programs just on shelter services, how people can access trauma-informed care. We've done some really wonderful seniors or elder abuse awareness day presentations within the Strathmore Lodge and some other seniors groups within the community too. So those are our three kind of pillars: shelter, outreach, education. And then, you know, we have many programs kind of that we operate within those as well. So that is the shelter in a nutshell. So what we're finding is, in terms of our current needs, is because we're unable to hold fundraising events, monetary donations have been significantly down. And so this community is so incredibly supportive of us, especially with in-kind donations. This Christmas has been incredible. We were able to have all of our families adopted with toys and items and food and PJs, and it's incredible. But the kind of the monetary piece has been really missing. So that's one thing that we're kind of, you know, looking for. I think another current need, or I suppose like this would lead into COVID challenges, is that running kind of a frontline operation in the middle of a pandemic is incredibly challenging. And so our capacity went from 7 bedrooms down to 4 due to COVID. And of course, that also involves keeping all of the people within our facility safe and apart from each other. So staggered meal times, limited access to the kitchen, all of these kind of difficult things that come with that. And I think what we're really experiencing right now is not only our clients are, the people who are staying with us are having COVID fatigue, but our staff is as well. And so we do believe that it's beginning to have, or it has been having, maybe even the past few months, it's really started to shine through not only our clients, but our staff and their mental health and like wellness, essentially. So we're really working hard as a team, or as a leadership team, to support our staff to make sure they are well during these times, because doing this frontline work and everything that comes with it, it is challenging, and we're up to the challenge. We never closed for COVID. We stayed open for the entire time. We have been open, operational, and been able to shelter people through everything. What else can I tell you here? I think for 2021, we are hopeful that once some COVID restrictions ease and we see lower numbers, we are hopeful that we might be able to have kind of some community members or groups help us with some of the things that we do need that we can't entertain right now, such as volunteers to come in and paint our shelter, for example, to provide the paint for our shelter, to patch the walls and to paint, to move furniture around for us, things like that. I would also say for 2021, like Lynette had kind of mentioned this too, at the beginning of the pandemic, they really saw things drop off. And I would say our shelter, and not only our shelter, but from what we know, shelters across the province and the country saw the exact same thing. So we really saw like a sharp decrease in people wanting to access shelter. Our outreach services are through the roof. They are busier than they've ever been before, because it doesn't involve coming to stay somewhere. And so what we know is that a pandemic doesn't make domestic violence go away. It just makes people have to, coming to a shelter is already an incredibly difficult choice. And so then add a pandemic on top of that, and, you know, having your children with you and thinking about, do I stay here and I'm unsafe, or do I go there and I'm potentially unsafe? Because, you know, we have so many protocols in place. I'm very confident in the safety and the health of our shelter. But, you know, somebody on the outside wouldn't know that. And it would be so scary to have to come in with your children, not knowing what that might look like. So we did see kind of a sharp decrease. Then that picked up a little bit as things kind of opened up through the summer. So we're still getting quite a few calls, but numbers are low, province-wide, countrywide, I think, for a variety of reasons, but mainly just due to fear. And also the fact that people are stuck at home with their abusers and might not have the opportunity to call and access a shelter. That's a very real thing. So that's kind of something to think of as well. With 2021 as well, we are hopeful that our community groups can start going again, that we can start doing more in-person, face-to-face outreach support again. I think everybody kind of feels that way. We're hopeful we might be able to do some face-to-face things. So we are hopeful. And our entire team is hopeful. We talk about the ethical requirement of being hopeful in these times and what that means to us. And so we kind of have been really operating from that standpoint. Other than that, yeah, and I think we do expect kind of an influx of people seeking shelter space once things do open up and they are able to kind of get out of their homes and safely call. We are preparing for that. That's
okay. So I'm wondering, Carly, with COVID and like I've heard here and there, and I may be wrong, but this is what I'm hearing, is that there's potentially more challenges in domestic violence and stuff during COVID. Like you said, a lot of people might not be able to get out, but is there ways through your outreach that people could potentially just connect, although they may be living in that situation and might not have the opportunity to do something? That is there ways through your outreach that they can find a different way to connect, whether it's, maybe it's not calling, but emails or some way to, get some messaging and some communication going?
Absolutely. So I would say with all of our programming, we do need people to call. We are not currently set up for a text message services, just for a variety of reasons. That being said, I think I don't have them off the top of my head, but I do believe there is like a provincial text line, if that's a safer option for people who could potentially kind of connect them with us in that way. I don't have it off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it for you. But in terms of the calling, oftentimes what we do find is people are able to find a safe place to call. Usually it's like kind of getting out with a friend in the community, just a really easy excuse to get out of the house, go for a walk or something like that. And even if that's just a quick call, within that quick call, if they let us know kind of what's going on for them, all of our entire staff is trained in crisis and in safety planning. And so even if that's just a quick 5-minute walk just to connect to say, hey, this is going on, I need some support, a lot can be done within a couple of minutes. And so we'd really encourage people to reach out that way. Something else I would encourage all people to do as well is follow us on social media, as well as other shelters and the Alberta Council of Women's Shelters perhaps on social media, because there's a lot of really wonderful educational information out there for people who are experiencing abuse. So it's just a quick scroll through Instagram and that'll just come up and they can kind of see it that way, and it's, no one has to know. So that's one way I would definitely encourage people to kind of just follow some social media and they can see that. It's also good for people on the outside. So maybe you're concerned about a friend or a family member or a neighbor. There's a lot of really wonderful information in social media about things to watch for signs, how to check in on people in a way that will be safe for them, and how to support somebody who maybe does need to get out of the house to make that call in a way that is not going to get them into any sort of danger or trouble.
Great. Anybody else have any questions for Carly?
Carly, we have here from the province the family violence info line. It's 24/7. Is that the number that you were thinking of?
Well, yeah, like that info line is great. I just don't know if that's a text line. So the text line, I'll follow up on it, and Patrick, I can provide that to you maybe of any in the province that exist that I know of. I just don't have them in front of me.
Perfect. Yeah. That would be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Anybody else for Carly? Okay. So Carly, can you give us your contact info?
Absolutely. So the Wheatland Crisis Society, the phone number is 403-934-6634, or toll free, it is 1-877-934-6634. Our email is wcs.general@wcsab.ca. Our website is strathmoreshelter.com, and our social media handle is @Wheatland Crisis Society, all one word.
Perfect. Great. And thanks. So last, you bet. Last but not least, Tammy, can you tell us about what you're doing?
Thank you very much, Patrick, for the opportunity. My name is Tammy Nischuk. I'm the Literacy Services Coordinator at Strathmore and Area Adult Inclusive Learning. We are a grant-funded program that operates with the Strathmore Municipal Library to serve Wheatland community residents with literacy services. What is a literacy service, you may ask? Well, when you think of literacy, a lot of people think of the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. But it's far more than that. As Kelly touched on today, as well as Lynn touched on, basic digital skills are part of a literacy package that's important. That is part of our mandate. In addition, we also serve learners with skills for learning. And what does that look like? That might look like a learning plan. That might look like just confidence building until you feel like you are capable of learning. And how we achieve that is through a learner-centered approach that builds on your existing strengths. So one of the things that we see is 20% of Albertans struggle with daily literacy activities. And that might be something as simple as reading the label on your medication. That might be something as simple as understanding a bus schedule or a work schedule. It might even be you can't do your income taxes because you can't read the form, because the forms are written at higher than a 6th grade level. So 20% of Albertans are operating at lower than a 6th grade level in some area of literacy. This is a conversation that isn't being had in our community that really needs to start. Whereas we've seen the communication around mental health, we've seen communication around gender identity, we've seen communication around a lot of these really big, important issues like race, but we're not seeing the community conversation around how is learning for you? Do you feel confident in your ability to understand directions on a form? Are you able to do the math in a grocery store to understand what's the best deal on the shelves? Can you estimate what's in your grocery cart before you get to the tills so you're not embarrassed when you have to put something back because you don't have the money to pay for it? These are real life literacy skills. And people often carry a heavy burden of shame around these literacy skills because they may have graduated from our school system lacking some of these skills, because we are incredibly adapted individuals to hiding our weaknesses or what we perceive as a weakness. And so these individuals are actively walking around our community, and I guarantee you everybody in this call knows somebody who is struggling with reading, writing, math, or another basic digital skills. Anybody in my family will tell you that I'm smart, but I didn't really learn to read until grade 6. In grade 6, I went from rote memorization and parroting back what I knew to actually learning to read. And that's only because I was fortunate enough to have an intervention through a practicum student who was a speech pathologist. These are the conversations we need to be having in our community to lower that stigma, to lower that bar and say, you may not have learned this yet, but you are capable of learning. And that's what SAIL is here to help with. We help individuals learn to read better, to write better, to become more confident in their math abilities, to be able to use a computer to communicate, to be able to use a computer to apply for a job or do a career search. And we do this in a variety of different ways. We have organized classes, which are open to the public through Strathmore Municipal Library. We have private one-on-one confidential coaching, which relies on community volunteers. As we know, not everybody has the same foundational needs, and so sometimes they can't be grouped together in a class, or sometimes they're just scared of people knowing that they might need a little bit of help. And that's why confidential coaching is so important. So these are the two big outreaches for us. We also help with English language learning. And this is the most public facing of our programs, because English language learners are typically immigrants who come to Canada who want to learn to integrate into our culture quickly and easily, and so they step forward. But English language learning doesn't mean that you're an immigrant. It might mean that you came out of the system and you know how to read a little bit, you know how to write a little bit, but you don't really know how to make a grammatically correct sentence. And so your cover letter might just be a series of bullet points or disconnected thoughts, right? So English language learning, it applies to Canadian citizens as well. Oh my goodness. I could go on and on about the statistics. We do know that literacy and poverty are interlinked. So people with low literacy skills tend to have a lower income. They tend to have poor health. They tend to need more social services. And so when our community and our businesses invest in literacy, they're investing back in the community because we bring each other up. Skills for learning is one of my favorite things to work on with learners. There's nothing like sitting in a room with somebody and having them share with you how you may be the first person who's invested in their success. And so we have an opening for community individuals who might want to be a coach, who might want to be a mentor, to come on board one-on-one with learners. And we have a huge need for that right now. Prior to COVID, we had our first batch, because we are a relatively new grant. We had our first batch of volunteers. And when COVID hit, people had a whole new series of demands in their lives. Whether that's, I have to refocus my time and attention on children who are home learning now, so I can't volunteer anymore. Whether they were seniors who might have been confident in face-to-face coaching, but are no longer confident in volunteering because they're not comfortable with the digital divide. And so we saw a whole batch of volunteers that did drop off. Fortunately, we have had some people step forward, and that's truly wonderful. I cannot tell you what a blessing that is, because coaching somebody in literacy is a long-term commitment. You can't teach somebody how to read in 3 hours. You can't teach somebody how to become fluent in English in 10 hours. So what we are asking is those individuals in the community who have the time and the resources necessary to coach somebody online and are willing to come on board and receive training and commit 4 to 6 months of their life once a week, meeting with an individual and giving of your time and talents, that we are more than happy to have you come on board. The best thing about our grant is that we are empowered to reduce the barriers to learning for learners. So although we do have a program fee, and right now it's set at $30, if that represents a barrier to you and you don't want to learn because of that $30, we can waive that fee. You can ask for financial help, and that's not a problem at all. One of the really great things is we can help you with technology at the library even. And this is not a part of the SAIL grant, but if there are individuals who just need an hour, I just need an hour to learn to use Messenger. The library has that service available. You just have to phone the Strathmore Library and ask for tech tutoring. So I'm giving the library a free plug because we are the library and the library is us. It's just we're operated by two separate grants. Are there, like I said, I could go on for hours, but if there are questions or somebody wants to start a conversation, I'm also open to that.
Well, for me, I was wondering so for the online coaching, kind of the same thing that I was talking to Kelly about, because of the online component, is that you could even seek volunteers outside of our region if it could be done online, or does it have to be face to face, or?
So as our grant is managed by Alberta Advanced Education, we are considered an education piece. So our tutors and our coaches and learners are allowed to meet right now. It doesn't even count against your social bubble because we are considered essential in that way, that learning. However, they have to meet in public. And as you may know, there are really no good places right now to go meet in public. The library has to be closed because those are the AHS rules. So we're seeing most of our coaches are online right now.
Okay, but the preference is once things open up again, the face-to-face learning is more fruitful.
It works well for some learners, but not for all. Certainly, we have individuals who would prefer to learn from home via Zoom rather than bundling up in 30 below and driving somewhere. So it's a viable option. Whichever way works best for the learner and the coach is what we empower them to do.
Great. Anybody else have any questions for Tammy? Okay, so Tammy, can you throw us your contact info? Oh, we have a question.
I do have a question for you, actually, Tammy. I was just wondering if your staff has any, I guess, presentations or lunch and learn opportunities for professionals who are seeking maybe to build capacity around having conversations with people about literacy and how to do that kind of respectfully and in a supportive way. Is that something that you offer?
Yeah, absolutely, Carly. We'd be happy to talk to you about red flags for literacy. What is something you might see in the community that makes you go, huh, I wonder about that? Do you have a group of friends who's going out to dinner and there's somebody, that one person, and they always order last? Mm-hmm. And chances are they're ordering something somebody else has already ordered.
Yeah.
Or the good old reliable standby burger and fries because everywhere offers burger and fries. Mm-hmm. They may not be able to read the menu, but you'll never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Well, I will be in touch with you maybe about getting some training surrounding those A, what to look for, and B, how to start that conversation in a way that feels supportive and non-intrusive and helpful.
Yeah, and certainly being respectful to adults is not rolling up to somebody and saying, "Hey, can you read?" It's really just about being a little bit of a detective. And like I said, literacy is not a fast fix. This is something that takes time. And often even for the learners to uncover, oh, this is why I didn't catch on to that piece in school, or this is why I struggle with fractions. It takes time to uncover those things. And so you become a detective in your own life. And I love when coaches have the light bulb moment for their own literacy needs, because all of us, it doesn't matter who you are, none of us are an expert in this field. We are all uncovering our own needs as we go. And so coaches are just as much learners as the people who come to us for our services. We all have something to benefit from when we're participating in the program. Thank you, Carly.
Definitely. So Tammy, if you could throw us your contact info.
Absolutely. SAIL can be reached at learn@strathmorelibrary.ca. That's LEARN at strathmorelibrary.ca. You can also reach SAIL by calling the Strathmore Library. The phone number there is 403-934-5440. That's 403-934-5440.
Perfect. Great. Well, does anybody else have anything you want to share out?
Hi, Patrick. I had just mentioned this in the chat, and I'll just say it just for the purposes of this video and podcast as well. If you are experiencing abuse and text is your only option, there is a text support line operated by the Calgary Women's Emergency Shelter, and that number is 403-604-6689. But I would always remind people, if you're in immediate danger, always dial 911.
Perfect. Great. Thanks, Carly. So yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, and thank you, Lynn, for bringing all these people together and spending time with us on a WC conversation. It is our last one of 2020, so I'll be working to get this onto our YouTube channel, and probably today, and onto our podcast in the next few days. But yeah, for everybody that's interested in following the WC conversations, of course, we're at infinitewc.ca/media, and you can find all of our content, YouTube and our podcast links on that page. And again, thank you, everyone. And this being the last one of the year, of course, I'd like to wish you all a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, New Year. The best that we can in this situation. So I hope everybody here stays safe, and thank you again.
Thank you, Patrick, for giving us the opportunity. We look forward to seeing your podcast.
Be sure to share out those links once it's up.
There you go.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.